Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, French President Emmanuel Macron warns Ukraine peace deal cannot mean surrender after meeting with US President Donald Trump. UN Security Council adopts US drafted resolution on Ukraine conflict as Trump pursues peace. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate Advantage Assam 2.0 Investment and Infrastructure Summit 2025 in Guwahati. Pope Francis' conditions show slight improvement as the pontiff spends 11th day in hospital with double pneumonia. New Zealand defeats Bangladesh, seals the fate of Pakistan as well as the hosts suffer ignominious exit from the Champions Trophy. Kiwis India confirmed semi-final berth. US President Donald Trump and French President Emmanuel Macron reaffirmed their commitment to ending the conflict in Ukraine during a joint press conference in Washington, D.C. on Monday. French President Emmanuel Macron warned that peace cannot mean the surrender of Ukraine, but said that talks with US President Donald Trump had shown a path forward despite fears of a transatlantic rift. Trump emphasized the urgency of securing a ceasefire and achieving lasting peace, stating that his administration has engaged in direct talks with both Russian President Putin and Ukrainian President Zelensky. He underscored that the invasion would never have happened under his previous presidency.
I'm also pleased that President Macron agrees that the cost and burden of securing the peace must be borne by the nations of Europe, not alone by the United States. And Europe must take that central role in assuring long-term security of Ukraine, which they want to do. And that's not a very big step. The big step is what's going to happen over the next few weeks. We must have an agreement with Ukraine on critical minerals and rare earths and various other things as security. And I think that that's happening. I think we've made a lot of progress. I had a report just given to me before walking in that we've made, Emmanuel, a great deal of progress toward getting that.
French President arrived at the White House on Monday for a call with G7 leaders. Macron said that he and Trump had agreed on wanting a swift peace, though he added that it must not be capitulation for Ukraine, starting with a truce and then a peace deal that includes security guarantees.
We want peace. That peace cannot mean capitulation by Ukraine. That peace cannot be a ceasefire with no guarantees. That peace must include the conditions for Ukrainian sovereignty, allowing Ukraine to negotiate with all actors on the issues which concern it and for which it is the only party which can legitimately negotiate. But it's a peace for which we need to assume our responsibilities to maintain security and stability for Ukraine and for the whole region in the long term. And for we Europeans, that's an existential question.
Macron corrected US President after Trump said that Europe would get its money back from Ukraine when Trump said that Europe was loaning the money to Ukraine.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total efforts, and it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money, to be clear. We have 230 billion frozen assets in Europe, Russian assets, but this is not as a collateral of a loan, because this is not our belonging. So they are frozen. If at the end of the day, in the negotiation we will have with Russia, they're ready to give it to us, super. It will be loan at the end of the day, and Russia will have paid for that.
Macron also met with US senators at Capitol Hill after his joint press conference with Trump at the White House. Macron is the first European leader to visit Trump since he regained presidency a month ago. He called his discussions with Trump a turning point in the drive for a more unified approach. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is also set to visit Trump later in the week, while Trump said that he was confident of bringing an end to the conflict and that he expected Zelensky at the White House in the next 2 weeks to sign a deal granting Washington access to Ukraine's rare minerals. The United Nations Security Council on Monday adopted a US-drafted resolution marking the third anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, calling for an end to the conflict. The US resolution received 10 votes in the favor, while France, Britain, Denmark, Greece and Slovenia abstained. Until now, the 15-member council has been unable to take any action on the conflict in Ukraine because Russia is a veto power. The short resolution mourns the loss of life in Russia-Ukraine conflict, reiterates the UN's purpose to maintain international peace and security and peacefully settle disputes, and urges a swift end to conflict and a lasting peace. Acting US Ambassador to the UN, Dorothy Shea, told the Council that this resolution puts us on the path to peace. It is a first step, but a crucial one of which we should all be proud of. Now we must use it to build a peaceful future for Ukraine, Russia, and the international community.
This resolution puts us on the path to peace. It is a first step, but a crucial one of which we should all be proud. Now we must use it to build a peaceful future for Ukraine, Russia, and the international community.
Earlier on Monday, the UN General Assembly rejected a US-drafted resolution, which was later passed only after being amended to state. The General Assembly also adopted a European-backed Ukrainian resolution demanding the immediate withdrawal of Russian troops and condemning Moscow's aggression as a violation of the UN Charter. The resolution tabled by the United States, which omitted the mention of Russian aggression, only passed after a majority of member states voted to add EU-led amendments, which led to the US abstaining on its own motion and voting against the Ukrainian text. However, the text in the original US resolution was passed hours later in the Security Council, the first to do so since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia. The two General Assembly draft resolutions put before UN member states during the morning session both ostensibly called for peace and an end to the conflict, but diverged fundamentally. Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Monday that Russia was not opposed to Europe's involvement in Russia-US peace talks aimed at settling the conflict in Ukraine. Putin, in an interview on Russian state television, said that it was logical for Europe to take part in talks on a settlement to the 3-year-old conflict. He added that Russia never rejected the idea. It's Brussels who had long rejected any dialogue with Moscow. Putin also backed a suggestion by US counterpart Trump for Russia, the United States, to cut their defense budgets in half. Russia and the US held an initial round of talks on Ukraine last week in Saudi Arabia. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth welcomed Saudi Arabia's Defense Minister Prince Khalid bin Salman to the Pentagon, saying the United States' partnership with Saudi Arabia matters a great deal. The Saudi Defense Minister's visit comes after the kingdom had recently hosted U.S. and Russian officials to discuss the conflict in Ukraine and restoring broader Russia-U.S. ties. Hegseth thanked Saudi Arabia for hosting the talks.
On behalf of President Trump, welcome. And as you know, he's made it clear in his administration we're gonna pursue peace through strength and put America first. But that does not mean ignoring partnerships. And in fact, it requires greater attention to the ones that matter the most. And our partnership with Saudi Arabia matters a great deal.
Ahead of the visit, the Saudi Defense Ministry said that the purpose of the minister's trip was to discuss bilateral relations with the U.S. and issues of common interest. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Monday that tariffs he unveiled on Canada and Mexico are moving forward as planned. Addressing reporters after meeting with French counterpart Emmanuel Macron, who urged for fair competition in trade, Trump reiterated his view that the United States had been mistreated by its neighbors and allies. The two leaders' talks come as Trump had threatened allies and adversaries alike with steep tariffs, sparking a flurry of negotiations. Shortly after taking office, Trump announced duties of up to 25% on Canadian and Mexican imports, citing illegal immigration and the flow of deadly fentanyl, but he issued a last-minute halt to the levies for a month as talks continued.
we're on time with the tariffs, and it seems like that's moving along very rapidly. We've been mistreated very badly by many countries, not just Canada and Mexico. We've been taken advantage of. We were led by, in some cases, fools, because anybody that would sign documents like they signed, where they were able to take advantage of the American people, like has happened over the last long period of time, except for a little 4-year period that took place 4 years ago. But anybody that would agree to allow this to happen to our country should be ashamed of themselves. No, the tariffs are going forward on time, on schedule.
While European industry ministers will meet in Paris on Thursday to discuss measures to maintain steel production in Europe in response to US tariffs, Europe's steel industry is reeling from US President Donald Trump's executive order to impose 25% tariffs on steel and aluminium imports from March 12th, despite warnings from Brussels. Ministers from some 15 European steel-producing countries are expected at the Paris meeting to share findings and solutions with other stakeholders at the steel industry, both companies and unions, and are expected to sign a joint declaration on protecting Europe's steel industry. Friedrich Merz is set to take charge as Germany's next chancellor, but with no party securing a clear majority, the real challenge now is to form a stable government. As coalition talks take centre stage, Merz said that he intends to form a coalition with the centre-left Social Democrats of outgoing Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Merz has also vowed to restore Germany's influence in Europe while navigating a rapidly shifting global landscape. Here's how the political equation stands.
Germany's political map has been redrawn, setting the stage for a new era of conservative leadership. Friedrich Merz, CDU-CSU bloc emerged as the clear winner in the final election results, securing 28.5% votes.
As Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany, I will once again play an active role in shaping European policy, and with me, Germany will once again have a strong voice in the European Union.
Olaf Scholz' Social Democrats had to chew a bitter pill as it registered its worst performance in history, gaining just 16.4% votes. And for far-right Alternative for Germany, AfD, it was nothing less than a dream come true. They secured their best ever result by gaining 20.8% votes.
We have doubled our result in 3 years, an incredible success. We are the People's Party, the second strongest force in Germany.
This is bitter election result for the Social Democratic Party. This is also an electoral defeat that I think has to be clearly stated after such a result.
So with no party securing a majority, chance for coalition government again looms large. This could be a daunting task for Friedrich Merz. His best chance is a grand coalition with Scholz' SPD.
Together with the mandates of the Social Democrats, which account for 120 members of parliament, we are naturally capable of forming a government with 328 seats out of 630, a black-red coalition, and that is exactly what we want.
The Greens, who secured 11.6%, could be another possible coalition partner, though CDU's Bavarian sister party, the CSU, has opposed this idea. The pro-business FDP, which triggered the collapse of Scholz's government, barely scraped past the 5% threshold to stay in parliament, leaving its role uncertain. This year's election also marked the end of the controversial overhang seat system, which had previously expanded the Bundestag beyond its official 630 seats. The election comes at a critical moment for Europe, with US President Donald Trump reshaping transatlantic relations and pushing for direct talks with Russia to end the Ukraine conflict. Merz has already called for a stronger European defense policy, warning that US is growing indifferent to Europe's security needs. Bureau Report, DD India.
Amid global concerns over the health of Pope Francis, the Vatican in its evening bulletin on Monday announced that the critical clinical conditions of the Holy Father demonstrate a slight improvement. The 88-year-old pontiff was admitted to Rome's Gemelli Hospital on February 14th with breathing difficulties, but his condition worsened with his bronchitis developing into double pneumonia. Support and prayers for Pope Francis' health pour in as hundreds of faithful are praying for the speedy recovery of the Holy Father. In a tragic mishap in Colombia, 9 soldiers were killed and 20 were injured when their vehicle plunged into a ravine. The military vehicle with 36 people on board veered out of control after the brakes failed and fell into the chasm some 328 feet deep. The troops were on their way to Nariño, a department on the border with Ecuador that is plagued with cocaine trafficking, to take part in security operations. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, Delhi government set to table CAG's reports on its predecessor AAP government's performance in Delhi Assembly. Stay with us for the latest from Mahakumbh as devotees eagerly await the last Amrit Snan on the occasion of Shivratri tomorrow. And Apple plans $500 billion in US investment, leading to creation of 20,000 research jobs in the US in next 4 years.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. After the break, you're watching DD India Live. During his visit to the northeastern state of Assam, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also inaugurate the Advantage Assam 2 Investment and Infrastructure Summit 2025 in Guwahati. The summit will include an inaugural session, 7 ministerial sessions and 14 thematic sessions, a comprehensive exhibition illustrating the state's economic landscape with focus on its industrial evolution, global trade partnerships, booming industries and the vibrant MSME sector, featuring over 240 exhibitors. Various international organizations, global leaders and investors, policymakers, industry experts, startups and students, among others, will participate in the summit. On his arrival in Assam, Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a grand welcome as he made his way to the venue of Jhumoir Binandini program. The Jhumoir Binandini 2025 event was organized to mark the 200th anniversary of Assam's tea industry, showcasing the largest ever Jhumur dance performance in history by 8,600 artists from tea garden areas across the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also held a roadshow in Guwahati ahead of Jhumoir Binandini event at the Sarusajai Stadium. Delhi police has registered an FIR a day after a New York-Delhi flight received a potential bomb threat on Sunday. The case has been lodged under various sections of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, along with Section 3 of the Suppression of Unlawful Acts Against Safety of Civil Aviation Act at the IGI Airport's police station. Security agencies are now in overdrive, probing the origins of the threat and ensuring safety of the future air travel. The Delhi-bound American Airlines Boeing Dreamliner from New York to New Delhi was forced to divert to Rome due to security threat. The flight with 199 passengers and 15 crew members was grounded for nearly 15 hours before flying to their destination. The Bharatiya Janata Party-led Delhi government is set to table 14 pending Comptroller and Auditor General of India reports on the previous Aam Aadmi Party government's performance in the Delhi Assembly on Tuesday. The reports will be tabled on the second day of the first session of the newly formed 8th Delhi Assembly. The BJP has accused the AAP administration of deliberately withholding these reports, raising questions about transparency and governance during its tenure. The pending CAG audits include review of state finances, public health infrastructure, vehicular air pollution, liquor regulation and the functioning of Delhi Transport Corporation, among others. The BJP had repeatedly demanded the release of those reports during AAP's tenure, even moving the court to direct the government to table them. The Saffron Party had accused the AAP government of deliberately stalling the audits to hide alleged corruption. The issue was a major point of contention during the assembly elections, with the BJP highlighting the delay as an attempt to suppress findings of financial mismanagement. The Mahakumbh 2025 in Prayagraj has drawn an overwhelming number of devotees to the sacred Triveni Sangam, the confluence of the Ganga, Yamuna and the Saraswati rivers. Displaying unwavering faith and devotion, over 63 crore pilgrims have already taken the holy dip, seeking spiritual purification and blessings. People from across India and the world continue to arrive daily, making the Mahakumbh a global spiritual spectacle. The Mahakumbh 2025 is not just a religious gathering, but a reflection of the rich spiritual heritage and enduring faith of the millions. As the sacred waters of Triveni Sangam witness history, the event continues to inspire devotion, unity and cultural pride. As huge turnout of devotees is expected to take the holy dip at Sangam during the 6th and final bathing festival on Mahashivratri on Wednesday, the state government is geared up to ensure that 45-day mega event ends peacefully. For the final bathing festival, the administration has put in place traffic restrictions to deal with heavy influx of pilgrims. Zonal bathing plan would remain in effect for the final bathing festival, wherein people would take the holy dip at any of the 48 bathing ghats located nearest to them. India and the United Kingdom are making a fresh push to finalize their long-awaited free trade agreement. The talks between commerce and industry ministers of the two nations come at a crucial time as global trade dynamics shift, prompting both nations to explore new opportunities. While the deal is expected to boost key sectors, both sides remain non-committal on the timeline. DD India's correspondent Anil Thomas has more on this.
A fresh push towards finalizing the India-UK trade agreement. UK Business and Trade Secretary Jonathan Reynolds held discussions with Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal in New Delhi. The talks, which had hit a pause after 14 rounds, are now back on track. The discussions come as both nations look to overcome hurdles and conclude the much-anticipated trade pact.
Together, we are both happy to announce that we have taken a decision to once again get back to the discussions which were on the table, which because of the elections got stalled. And since there was a change in government in the United Kingdom and a new political leadership, a new team at the helm of affairs, it needed to be once again assessed.
This development is particularly significant amid global trade uncertainties, pushing businesses and nations to explore diverse market opportunities.
It's an excellent place to start from, but both of us want to do more. And that's why I am so pleased to be here today, to kickstart these negotiations, to strengthen our close and vibrant relationship, and unlock new opportunities for businesses and consumers across both the UK and India.
While the free trade agreement is expected to boost key sectors, both sides remain cautious about setting a timeline for its conclusion.
I think I have consistently maintained in all our trade negotiations over the years that trade agreements are for a long-term future. One has to crystal gaze maybe 20, 30, 50 years into the future and make a robust agreement which is a win-win for both sides. And therefore, neither should we rush into things, but it's always good to conclude fast. So we will have speed, but not haste.
Meanwhile, UK Investment Minister Poppy Gustafsson is visiting Mumbai and Bengaluru, advocating for the UK as a prime investment hub for Indian businesses.
The trade talks back on the table is a great momentum for both India and UK as they look forward to sign on the dotted line. With camera person YK Loknath, Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
The tech giant Apple has said that it plans to invest more than $500 billion in the United States over the next 4 years, including plans to hire 20,000 people and build a new server factory in Texas. The move, announced on Monday, comes just days after US President Donald Trump and Apple CEO Tim Cook promised him that the tech giant's manufacturing would shift from Mexico to the US. Trump noted the company was doing so to avoid paying tariffs. Let's turn focus to sports now. India have made it to the semi-finals of the Champions Trophy 2025 and Pakistan suffered an early exit from the tournament after New Zealand defeated Bangladesh on Monday. India will face New Zealand in the first semi-final on 2nd of March. For Pakistan, it's a huge embarrassment as the defending champions were not able to progress past the group stages in their first ICC tournament at home in 29 years. Meanwhile, riding on Rachin Ravindra's ton, New Zealand chased down the 237-run target to beat Bangladesh by 5 wickets in Rawalpindi on Monday. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.